So, the Las Vegas Grand Prix was on last weekend, and Max Verstappen was crowned a four-time Formula One world champion, the fourth title in a row in his career, and he joins a very elite list of drivers who have won 4 or more titles. There's only 6 of them, including him in total. Of course, Sir Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher with 7 titles, Juan Manuel Fangio with 5 titles, and of course now himself, Sebastian Vettel and Alain Prost all with 4. And this has kind of got people thinking, where does Max Verstappen rank amongst the all-time greats? Well, I'm not going to do a tier list for this one. That's a tier list for another day, I think. Another one where we get the multiple world champions in, because I've done the single champions, so the multiple champions will happen at some point, probably in the off season, because that's a massive video project, I will be honest. But I just wanted to have a chat and look at some of the stats and kind of go over my thoughts really when it comes to Verstappen's numbers in Formula One and how he ranks amongst the all-time greats, really, because something that can't be ignored is that Verstappen has had a lot of success very young in Formula One. He's only 27 years of age now, and he's achieved 4 world championships, like I said at the start of this video. And to put that into perspective, he's done that in 10 seasons. You know, the first 6 seasons of his kind of career were when he didn't win the championship. Now he's won the championship 4 times, and that is something that can't be downplayed. That is a batting average of 40%. You know, you look at Sir Lewis, he's on 7 titles in how many years is that? That's 18 seasons. So it's around the same kind of amount as that. Schumacher had about 20 seasons in Formula One, I think, and he got 7 titles. You know, so he's on that kind of level when it comes to the consistency in recent times. And that number can obviously go up. He could make it 5 championships in 11 seasons next year. And you've also got to kind of play into the fact that Verstappen has really only been able to challenge for the championship since 2021, because that's the only time when he's had a car that's been capable of winning the championship. And this is not me saying for 1 second that it's all in the car. We'll come to that criticism, because I know a few people have it with Verstappen, as they do with any champion. But it's just me saying that he has won the championship really every single season when that car has been good enough to win the championship. And in fact, let's get on to the whole, oh, it's all in the car thing, and he's only winning because of the car, which I think is a terrible criticism of any world champion, because any world champion throughout history has had one of, if not the best car in that season. I would contest there are exceptions to this, but there's not many of them. You think about Alain Prost in 1986 when he won his 2nd title for McLaren. I would wager that Williams had the much better car overall in that season, and the infighting between Nelson Piquet and Nigel Mansell is why neither of them won the championship in the drivers. They obviously won the Constructors' Championship comfortably. You could argue Kimi Räikkönen in 2007 didn't have the best car either, and again, infighting at McLaren stopped them actually. Well, they would have won the Constructors' Championship, McLaren, had they not been kicked out due to Spygate, but it stopped them winning the Drivers' Championship with either Alonso or Hamilton, in my opinion. I think that's pretty clear. So there are some exceptions to it. There aren't many, but in the lion's share of the seasons when, you know, a driver wins the championship, it's often when they've got the best car or one of the best cars. Although, to be honest, you could argue that in 2024, this season, he's not had the best car this season, Verstappen. I don't think he has, actually, you know. He had the best car at the start of the season, no doubt. That car was the best car, and he was unstoppable in the first 7 races or so in the season. But overall, on the balance of the season, I would say that McLaren have probably had the best car, and McLaren are looking like they're going to win the Constructors' Championship this season, or at least get 2nd. They're going to finish ahead of Red Bull Racing. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So I would contest, actually, this season in 24. I think, in a sense, this has been his most impressive season in Formula One. Because in 23, yeah, he was incredibly dominant, and we'll get on to the 23 season and how impressive that was. He was very dominant, of course, but I think it's more impressive when a champion actually wins when they have the chance of winning, which he did. I don't think there's any races this season where you'd say that he's bottled it. The races where he didn't win were because his car was miles off it, but the races that he didn't win, a lot of the time, you know, he actually maximised his results a lot of the time, with a few little exceptions here and there. Hungary could have done better, obviously, had he not had the crash with Hamilton, and you could argue as well Austria, had he not had the crash with Norris, he would have got a better result. So there were a few instances like that, but overall, apart from that little wobble, he has made the most out of his car every single race. And quite often that car has not been the best car on the field. I'd contest there's been times when that Red Bull's been the 4th fastest car on the grid, quite comfortably. And he still won the championship, very comfortably. So there is that too. And the last thing as well, let's just get onto his numbers, his stats, because it's incredibly impressive. Let's be honest here, 10 seasons in Formula 1. And I know the seasons are longer now. There's more races than ever before, but the consistency in recent times, 22, 23 and 24 that he's had, has been on another level. 62 victories in Formula 1 now for Verstappen. He's third all-time on the list, only behind Schumacher and Hamilton. He has 40 pole positions, which is fifth on the all-time list. I think he's behind Hamilton, Senna, Schumacher, or I can't remember the other one. Not sure. I think might be Vettel, actually. Might be Vettel's got more than I'm not sure. Fastest laps, he's sixth all-time on the all-time list with 33. And podiums, he's fourth on the all-time list on 111 podiums in Formula 1. So to have those stats with, maybe 10 years left in him. I mean, he talks about leaving Formula 1. He talks about leaving Formula 1 a lot. But if he does continue for another 10 years or so, which by that time he'd be 37, which isn't ancient by any stretch. That's younger than what Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso is now by a good few years. You could have rewritten the record books. And I've said this numerous times on the channel. I've said that he has every chance of beating Hamilton's records. Hamilton did it to Schumacher. Verstappen could do it to Hamilton one day. You never know. You never know. But to answer the question that we started this video with, is where does he rank among the all-time greats? For me, he's got to be up there. He's got to be up there because you look at, for me, in terms of raw overall speed, he's one of the fastest in Formula 1 history, And before we get into the whole, different generations debate, it's impossible to compare drivers that never at least shared the same racetrack with each other. For me personally, the best driver in Formula 1 history is Ayrton Senna, which I know is a controversial opinion, but it's something that is very controversial in general. How can you definitively say that Hamilton is better than Senna? They never shared the same racetrack with each other. How can you say that Fangio was better than Schumacher? They never shared the same racetrack with each other. So it's truly impossible to say who is the best of all time. But I think Max Verstappen right now, and yeah, it was a bit cringe at times for sure, but Terry Crews on the podium saying that Max is starting a dynasty. This is a Max Verstappen dynasty, and it is in a sense because he's won 4 championships on the bounce. The 2020s so far has been the Max Verstappen era. There's no doubt about that. The first part of the V6 era was the Hamilton era. The latter half of the V10s era was the Schumacher era. The last bits of the V8 era was the Vettel era. It was the dynasty for them guys. So I think, Verstappen has to be put on that. He has to be in that top tier, to put it in a tier list perspective, basically. He has to be in that top tier. He's got to be, because he right now is the best driver in Formula 1, bar none. He's the best there is at the moment. There is nobody that can compete with him, in my opinion. We might see different things next year, but that's another year. In 3 of these 4 years, basically, no one's really been able to compete with him. The only exception was 21 with Sir Lewis. He obviously had a big challenge there, but he came out on top in the end. So there we go, guys. For me, Verstappen absolutely deserves to be on that top tier of the pantheon. He is up there with Fangio, Schumacher, Hamilton, Senna, Prost. All those guys deserve to be up there. I'd even put the likes of Niki Lauda and Sir Jackie Stewart, Jim Clark up there as well, personally, going a bit further back. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Verstappen is among those guys now, and his titles and his achievements absolutely reflect that fact. But what do you guys think? How good is Max Verstappen? Is it all in the car? It's not, guys. Come on, it's not. You can't say it's all in the car, please. I'm sure somebody will in the comments, but come on. It's just not, is it? It's just not. And he's proven that this season for me. This has been his best season for me. Getting them 19 wins or whatever it was in 2023 last year was incredible, but he had the fastest car, no doubt. It was just easy for him, basically, by his standards. What he did was very impressive, of course, but by his standards, it was like a video game to him, like a sim rig to him, like a sim game thing. But this was a real challenge this year. He really had to produce his best, and he did, and it shows in his results. But yeah, what do you guys think about it? Let us know in the comments below. Who is the greatest of all time? Do you want to give a shout to Verstappen or someone else for the GOAT? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, keep it subscribed to the F1Chronicle.com to see much more Formula 1 opinion pieces on the world of motorsport just like this. We'll see you very soon, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and have a good one.